What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Nobody Us podcast. Before you watch, please read and or listen to the disclaimer. Some topics may be triggering, and we are not trained professionals, and simply are sharing our personal experiences. If you go through or have gone through mental health problems, please seek professional help. However, we are more than willing to pray with you and or for you. God bless and enjoy. Gotta remember that. I was gonna say the episode names, but then I was just like, right, because when you get to like episode 1000 or whatever, I'm just like, I'll just put it in the title.
Comfortably.
All right, what's up, guys? What's up, bro? Thank you guys for watching episode 1. Means a lot to us, and it's hard, you know, being vulnerable, sharing all this stuff with you guys. As you can see from episode 1, we kind of ended on a buzzy ass note. Actually, to give like little backstory, like I was just talking, and then the camera just shut off right at like where you guys saw it on episode 1, how it ends at the end of the sentence. That's not like an editing thing. That's just where the camera like battery died.
Yeah.
Which was like pretty buzzy, but it gave us an idea for episode 2, or for this episode. Which is problems that we can't solve.
Yeah.
So this is a massive one for me, because we're gonna get deep real quick, but like I've always tried to do things on my own.
Yeah.
I think especially early on, it came from a place of pride, and I think I wouldn't allow others to speak wisdom into my life. If they did, and I knew that they were like right, I would listen, like I would take it in. I wouldn't like straight up just ignore. Well, now parents, I would ignore them. You know, like people that are really close to me because I feel the safest with.
Yeah.
I would just ignore them straight up. But I'm and still very blessed to have like a lot of wise people in my life that, you know, speak wisdom into me. But I remember since a kid, like I always just wanted to do things on my own accord, on my own terms, and just being really stubborn in my ways, kind of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, bro, that created a whole bunch of problems for me, because you can't do everything by yourself.
No.
Which is really ironic, by the way, because as we're speaking about on the last episode, I was always had a group of friends, or I was playing team sports, or I'm a social butterfly. I'm always around people, you know. And I think the irony in that is, in my mind and in my heart, in my spirit, I'm very isolated. Like it's me by myself. In the way that I'm living life, even though I'm sharing it with, you know, a whole bunch of other people, I'm still isolated in my thoughts, isolated in my agendas and my way of thinking, in my heart and my intentions. And it's like, so when problems present themselves, I'm just trying to do it by myself. You know what I mean? Like so I told you we're getting deep real quick, man. Yeah, I'll try to do it by myself, and like it'll fail. Even if it did work out, I knew in that moment, like if I accepted help, if I accepted advice, if I accepted wisdom, if I was like not an idiot and just dropped my pride and like allowed, not even just to listen, because I think you can listen. I think there's a difference between hearing and listening.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I think a step after listening is choosing the things that you're going to apply to your life. And I think when it got to that moment, I always felt or knew that in order to apply what I just heard, I have to strip away a lot of my own thoughts and my own, like, you know what I mean, to apply what they're speaking to me. And I think I was too prideful to do it back then.
It's always like that, especially when you're young, bro.
Yeah,
you always think, I don't need help from anyone. I'm the man. I can do all this stuff on my own. But getting older, you kind of realize, if you want to go far, you know, you can't do it alone. And especially in your feelings, bro. When you're young, there's that embarrassment as well. When you're young, you know, you don't want to seem, because in our culture, especially with Polynesians, bro, if you're vulnerable around the boys, that's a ticket for you to get mocked straight away, bro. So a lot of us, when we go into those situations, it's always, "You all good, bro?" Yeah, I'm fine, bro. But you know, if we think about that kind of culture that we have for clowning the boys when they talk about their feelings, then it always makes you fuck 'em eye.
Which is like buzzy, because like I think a lot of my reactions back then were because of that, like just out of fear of like judgment, or fear out of not being accepted or being pushed away from the group of boys that you're around. Or
it goes back to what we were saying last time, bro. Like when you're in those years when you're young and insecure and you don't have all that knowledge that you have these days, there's always that thought of, I can't let them see that I have feelings too, or I can't let them see that what they say hurts, or you know, just all those situations like that, bro. And there's always that, when you're insecure, you want to bolster everything that you're doing, so that people think, yo, you're the man, Jay. That guy never cries, or that guy never gets angry and things like that. But it's crazy.
This is what I assume anyways, and from what I've been told in the past, but to like the cool, calm, collected, or like the
nonchalant dude, that's come back, eh?
Yeah, and also like just the at peace, because a lot of times, you know, I was at peace with myself. I think God had a big role to play, obviously, in me feeling that way. So I did have some form of like security within myself. But as you know, as buzzy as like, speaking of boys, I feel like we all want to share with each other. But you know how people say like women are like feelers, you know what I mean, or emotional, or whatever.
Yeah, they always associate that with.
Look, I'm not saying this as
a
bad way.
Side of things.
And
that's crazy.
It is crazy, but just saying in general, okay, not pinpointing, but I think guys are like way more emotional, bro. Like,
definitely, bro.
We're sucky bubbers, bro. But like, and also I think, okay, let's say me and you, for example. If you were to share something with me, that's like, that hurt you, like let's say someone hurt you emotionally, and you were to share that with me, I think as men, going back to like the topic of the episode, naturally we want to solve the problems that are being presented in front of us.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You sharing your emotions with me, automatically my mind's gonna think, how can I fix this so you don't feel this way, and so that it doesn't happen again like this. And then etc.
Yeah.
And I think like some of those frustrations can stem from, one, you're hurt, so I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Two, what if I don't know how to fix this?
Yeah.
Like, and then I think some of that awkwardness, or like some of that like that nonchalant, or like act like you're not interested or don't care kind of thing, I think that's a form of like a lot of men processing their thoughts and their emotions from what they just heard, and not knowing how to express or react, you know? And I think it's that expression is where the fear creeps in, because it's like, well, okay, I don't, see, you know what I mean? Yeah, definitely. You just shared this deep ass thing. It's like, oh man, like, oh.
And then it's kind of not casual, but like, because of that confusion of not knowing what to do, then your answers, with men especially, it's always, oh, true, oh really?
Yeah.
And then you're trying to think of what to do, and then the jumbling of words and stuff like that. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think I'm a good example to use of that, because we talk like that all the time.
Yeah, that is true.
But like the other boys, you're always thinking about how to fix it, with the bros straight away. I think that's another thing that men do, bro. That whole time, like, especially when the missus tells you something's wrong, like, you know, with Jada, like, when she'll tell you something's up, your first thought is, how do I fix that straight away?
Yeah, that's right.
Bro, I've had situations like that with the boys, like some dark things that have happened to the boys, like partners passing away, or like losing their brother and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is we don't have to have all the answers in those spaces, bro. I think sometimes people just need someone to hear them.
True.
And like understand what they're going through as opposed to like solving it for them. G. I think that's
True.
more valuable, as to hear them and be present with them in that moment. And then I always offer to help, bro. I always say, oh, is there anything that I can do?
Yeah.
Knowing like 9 times out of 10 people aren't really going to tell you like what they need from you, because they probably don't know themselves, to be fair, eh?
Yeah, that's very true.
But just being there to hear them like vocalize those thoughts, bro, I reckon that does wonders for people when they're in those spaces as well, eh?
I've been having to say this a lot to like people that I care about, that are close to me, and it's like, look, when I'm expressing like my frustrations or my problems or whatever, like what you were saying, like sometimes I'm not expecting you to like solve what, you know.
Yeah. I don't want you to solve it. I just want you to hear what I'm saying. It's just like
it's building up so much in me that I just need to release it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think something that I need to consider, and that I guess like for all of us to consider, is that feeling that you get of this thing that happened in your life, whether it's trauma, whether it's pain, no matter what level, but that you get the feeling that you need to express. I think also a thought that should be in your head before you express is this person that I'm expressing to ready to receive what I'm expressing?
Yeah.
And also, am I gonna trigger this person or hurt this person with what I'm about to express? Like if because we want to find not similarities, but I guess a point of like relation, you know what I mean? We want
like common ground, eh?
Exactly, bro. We want to relate with people. And so there's a saying, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And I think communities are formed that way, you know, where a group of people find a common ground and interest in things. And I think it's the same on the opposite side when you're sharing pain or trauma. It's like you can find comfort in someone that's kind of gone through that same thing, because you feel like you're not alone, or you feel like you get to talk to someone about, like, because it can be really isolating, like I was saying before. Like a lot of my pain back then made me feel like I was by myself in a lot of those things. And what I used to think back then was, you don't know me, or you don't you don't know you don't know me, so like, no offense, but I'm not going to share this with you because I feel like you don't have any valid input in my life.
Yeah.
I think that's sometimes it's valid, sometimes it's unfair on my part, because I'm putting assumptions on this other person, cause I don't know them either. Yeah.
I feel that, bro. There's always that air of bullshit as well.
Yeah.
Like if people try to give you advice in situations like that when you're young.
Yeah.
And you're not ready to receive it because you don't believe, because, you know, of the situation that you're in, bro.
Yeah.
And all those traumatic events always tend to close us off.
Yeah.
If you could go back, what would you have done? Listen? Probably not, eh?
Well, I think I mean, it's easy to say a lot of this now because it's in hindsight and I've gone through a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I think, the first thing I would have done is drop my pride and allow God to speak into me before I just react.
Yeah.
Strip away my emotions and just really sit with God and be like, all right, I clearly don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
And I need some help. Once that's happened with me, I can then go, okay, I need people in my life that can benefit me in this moment, that are ready to receive what I need to share, and that I can grow from their words, but also they're not being put in harm's way of what I have to share.
Yeah.
And this, I think the third thing would be realizing that, yes, we can relate because we have this shared experience of trauma, but your experience formed a totally different world than mine, my experience, because we're two different people. We're not the same person. So like, okay, I'll give you an example. And like, I don't think I've ever said this publicly, but just warning, trigger warning. If you have gone through something like this, like the disclaimer said, please seek professional help. I sought professional help after this happened to me, and yeah, again, we're not professionals, but if you need some prayer, we're happy to pray.
I'm definitely not.
So, in my one of my old jobs, I'm not gonna share the whole experience, but I'll give you the bulk of it. So this guy, foreman, he we were going on lunch break, and then pretty much long story short, he said, "Oh, I want to get some tattoos. You got heaps of tattoos. Can you recommend me a tattoo artist?" I was like, "Yeah, bro, hard, got you." Keep in mind, like he's just to paint a picture. He's this little guy, like really little. And I didn't know him that well. Anyways, he goes, "Oh, I just need to stop to go toilet," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I need to go too." And so, as we were driving there, he said something that didn't really click until afterwards. But he's like, he turned to me in the car and he's like, "You're not going to tell anyone, eh?" And I was just like, "About the tattoos? Like, you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, if you don't, like, nah, if you don't," in my mind, I'm thinking, "Oh, if you don't want other people to get the artist that I'm going to give you, then yeah, sweet, take him." But like, this is the bro. Anyways, we get into the bathroom, and before we're both about to go toilet, he like kind of guides me into this corner, and I freeze in my heart and in my spirit. I freeze. He guides me into the corner, and then he pretty much just tries to like take my clothes off, and he tries like touching me and down there. And I immediately, my mind talked to God, and I said, "God, I need to get out of this situation right now. If I put my hands on this man, it's only me and him. If he goes to the police, I'm going to be done for, not him." But when it's word against word. As soon as I said that prayer, he just turned to face the wall. Just turned to face the wall. I don't know why. Like, just turn and face the wall. And God said, "Run." So loud in my head. And bro, I ran. I sprinted for my life. I ran around I ran down the driveway of the park where the bathrooms that we're at, and I started hopping fences just parallel to where we were. I had all these like metal clips because we were doing fences in my pocket, and I chucked them out just because they kept rattling. And then I ended up running to this lady's house. Well, I thought she owned the house, but she was a gardener. When I ran there, she was freaked out, like this guy just sprinting into it. And I dropped on my knees and I cried and I said, "I need help." I didn't tell her what happened. She calls the police come. As soon as the police come, there was two of them, two female officers. I'm not going to say their names, but you's done me dirty, for real. One walked in front, backwards, facing me. One walked behind, and they were both hands on hips. And I was thinking, prior to that, I told them what just happened. And they said, "Come to the station if you want to make a statement." I said, "Yes." She walks backwards. Oh, time out. One.
It's alright.
Flippy floppy. She walks backwards, and then one walks behind me, and they both got their hands on their thing, on their waist, holding their weapons. And then I get this detective signed to me. I make a statement and all that, and then my dad and my little brother and Jade came to pick me up, and I remember sitting in the car. Dad knew what happened. Jade knew what happened. My little brother knew what happened. We didn't talk. Like there was no words. We went to my friend's house straight away, and then I got assigned a detective. The detective came to my house on a Sunday morning. I got put on ACC at that point because I wasn't going to go back to work. So I went through all the legal system. I had got a lawyer and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, the detective, what I found out later, no, first we went to a mediation. The guy that was one of the managers in that company, none of them believed me what happened. None of them. And then it just got dismissed. So I think I got like $1,200 as a settlement fee. None of them believed what happened, and then I got word that the detective went back to the site and told everyone that he doesn't believe me and that, you know. And so the guy that tried to do that thing to me, he was free, able to, you know, to work. He worked as normal, and I was out of a job on ACC and no closure. So a few months go by, I'm still on ACC, I'm seeking counseling at this point, and then I get a bang, it's another Sunday morning, I get a bang on the door, and it's this lady, and I'm just like, who, I knew she was law enforcement, just, but she didn't have uniform, did she have uniform, I can't remember, but I knew she was law enforcement. She comes into my house, and she tells me, we believe you've been done wrong, and this detective hasn't treated this case fairly, and I believe you. And I remember thinking, like, bro, that's all I wanted to hear, like, that I'm not going crazy, that this is not just being thrown under the rug.
Yeah.
She said, look, nothing might happen because this is word against word, and no one really saw what happened, so it might not go your way. But she told me that I done the right thing by calling them and making a statement. She said, don't ever feel like that's the wrong thing to do. And then it just disappears. It just fizzles out. I go back into work and then have to spend time with God and pray, you know, about the things that almost happened to me. Very grateful that it didn't go, you know, the way that he thought it was going to go. I share that to say there's so many people that go through that experience and way more. But they didn't live what I lived through in that moment, you know what I mean?
So that experience won't be the same,
So, like, yeah, it's not the same. Like, it's not the same. So, and I say that to say, when we're sharing experience like this, or if you have experience like that, if any of us have experiences that are based on trauma, the first thing I would say is, like, look, if I'm not forcing you to believe in God. I'm not telling you to believe in God. I'm just saying this is what helped me. God was my closure in that moment because the detective didn't believe me. No one believed me, apart from that one detective, that last detective. But then, even then, nothing happened. You know what I mean? So if I saw him again, I knew in my heart, I'm gonna destroy this man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna destroy, because not only did he, like, you know, try to assault my body, but he done more than that. And Maori, in Te Ao Maori or Te Reo Maori, we got a saying called takahimana. It means when someone stamps on your pride, the essence, the ngako of who you are as a person. That's what he done to me, and what all of them done to me after that moment, you know. It wasn't the actual moment, but it's everything after that moment that added on top of that, you know.
Yeah, the fact that he did it and then nothing happened.
Exactly, bro.
And we're raised to think our whole lives, if you do wrong, bad things are going to happen to you, bro.
Yeah.
But, yeah. As you become an adult, you realize it's not always true,
Exactly, bro. Like, find out the right thing that feels right to you to do, and just do that.
Yeah.
I was very blessed to have, you know, God's words literally in my mind as that was happening on what to do. I knew the right thing to do was to do that, and my closure was knowing that I done all I could in that whole situation. Whatever happens to him is going to happen to him. And, like, I think I want to say, like, sorry, but, like, I know my whānau was really affected by that. Not to, like, put yous all out there, I'm not going to say names, but a lot of us share that same experience.
Yeah.
And it sucks, bro. And that was a problem one of the biggest problems that I couldn't solve, because no one believed me. Like, yeah.
Well, no one believed you, and then that healing from it, bro. How did that work for you? Did you have all that same people telling you what to do and trying to solve it and stuff like that?
Yeah, I had a counselor, beautiful lady, beautiful Christian lady. Sorry, I forgot your name. Helen, I think your name is. Beautiful lady who just heard me out. But I wasn't ready to speak with her either.
Or to receive that, eh?
Yeah, I wasn't ready. And so I was with her for... She used to get frustrated at me because, like, I just wouldn't turn up to sessions. And I wasn't brave enough to say, like, I'm not ready for this. Like, one, it's still really fresh.
Yeah, it's just happened.
Yeah. And then two, like, it's bringing up a whole bunch of other stuff as well, you know? So,
That's the thing that you find out in that counseling, eh, bro? Is that the trauma that you experienced didn't really start there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you're still reeling from from what happened to you, then of course you're not going to be ready to receive. Oh, no, that wasn't the only thing that happened. It's been happening your whole life, pretty much, you know?
Yeah. And it just got to a point where I just had to find peace with it. And just knowing that, like, my closure doesn't exist in him saying sorry. Not that I even wanted it to see him. They offered me to go take it to trial and see him, but I didn't want to see his face. I didn't want to see him again. And so, yeah. And I know there's so many people out there, you know, that kind of go through the same thing or worse, you know, like how many of our wahine experience, like way worse, you know, and don't play the comparison game, because your pain is your pain, and your story is your story. You know, don't ever.
I think that's something that we always do. As soon as that trauma happens, you know, you have that period in your life where it almost becomes like a battle to see who's had the more traumatic thing happen to them. Like, for me, it came out like everywhere, bro. You know what I mean? You just talk to someone, and then 10 minutes later, you're both like trying to battle and see whose life was worse.
Which is like,
it's crazy to think about, eh?
It's almost like a badge, like a badge of honor. Like, who's got the most pain,
the most trauma,
the most trauma, and but like all of that's in like hindsight, you know.
Yeah.
During those moments, bro, they. So going back to what we were talking about before, like, yes, it's very good to relate to people, like, you know, when both parties are ready to receive and ready to share, and have clear intentions of what this conversation is going to be like. It's a beautiful thing, you know what I mean? Like, just to share similar experiences. But we all go through things differently, you know? And I think, going back to, like, again, the topic of this episode, like, the way other people solve problems, the way my mum solved problems, the way my dad did, or whoever was speaking to my life then, Jade, my wife, even my kids, you know, they have a different way of thinking, which is beautiful, but my pride wouldn't allow me to hear that. It's like, I think I was a know-it-all back then, to be honest.
We're all like that, bro. I think, you know, we get past that stage where our parents are superhuman. And it usually happens in our teen years where we realize, hey, that's not Superman, he's a person too.
Yeah, true.
And then the hormones are raising, you start to, like, you know, have it out with your parents a bit more.
Yeah.
And then once you've had it out with your parents, everyone's free game. Because, you know, if you can do that with your parents, you know, not that there's not, like, repercussions or anything for, like, doing that with your parents.
Yeah.
But, once you've done that with your parents, you're like, anything anyone tries to say to you after that point, you're like, nah, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy, eh?
Yeah.
Young people.
It is crazy. Hard for young people, bro. Straight up.
Yeah.
I think growing up in the church too, you're just surrounded by, like, people speaking life into you.
Yeah.
And that tested the heck out of me, man, because I'm like, I think there's a few different layers to this, but one, for me, speaking for me, I think I held a lot of the authoritative figures in the church too high, where their word is like law.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not knowing that, you know, they're flawed like me. We're all not perfect. Yes, they might have more wisdom and more life experience and all of that, but sometimes I would hold it to like by word, like whatever this person's saying to me, I'm taking everything in and I'm actioning all of it, you know. And rather than like, you know, allowing the core of what they're trying to say and then finding what's good to, you know, apply to my life and all that. And then too, like, there's just so many people that in the church that are like, that's what it's there for, you know what I mean? To speak life into people.
Yeah.
It put me off in a lot of ways because it tested my pride in a lot of ways too. Because I was like, I'm the man, like I know heaps. And like I feel like I do know a lot for my age, even for my age back then. But yeah, it was just stubbornness, bro. Like I just wouldn't. I've always been put in positions of like leadership roles or like, you know. And I think it took me a long time, still now, to figure out the real responsibility of what a true leader is. You know what I mean? And I think like, even to go back to like biblical terms, like it says in the Bible to lead is to follow, you know.
Yeah.
Lead by example. Lead one, not the masses, you know. Don't think about the numbers, because one is one life, you know. It's one soul that you're in charge of, or leading, you know, in a certain direction. Yeah, and I think like back then I just wasn't ready for all that. I think I wasn't. I felt like I wasn't in the right position to do that, but for whatever reason, like I was put in these positions, and then now, you know, I'm in leadership roles now, and a lot of it is like having to just drop your pride and just listen, and just be like, okay, and just do what needs to be done. But I've been finding that it's been really taxing for me lately. Just like constantly thinking, not worrying, but constantly thinking, constantly like troubleshooting, constantly like making sure everything doesn't fall to crap. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think a lot of my stresses now have been like, sometimes I do know how to solve these problems, but there's just so much of them.
So many problems popping up that you're like, oh.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it like for you now as an adult with responsibilities and stuff? I remember we were speaking about the last episode. These problems now, you know, like overstimulation, overwhelming, just it feels like the constant, never ending, you know, rush of problems.
I think, yeah, being a young dad, because I had kids so young, I didn't learn how to do it properly, but when I was younger, I'd have like a Band-Aid kind of solution to things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I thought that something was going to break, or I felt like I was going to break emotionally, you'd put that Band-Aid on and you keep pushing because, you know, you had all those people relying on you, and you can relate to that in your leadership roles as well, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when I was younger, I used to Band-Aid it a whole bunch, bro. Like things would come up, so I'd fix that problem there, and then another one would come up, I'd Band-Aid all of these ones, and then after you've done that for so long, all it takes is for one little flick, and then the whole thing just comes apart. And I think that happened for me, like, in lockdown, bro. Because lockdown for me, like, yeah, it was crazy, bro, when that stuff happened, because everyone was losing their jobs, everyone was, couldn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, and life changed, like, instantly in the space of, like, a week, bro. So for me, lockdown for me, what happened? I was made redundant, and then right before that, my
You were made redundant from your job?
yeah, bro, I was made redundant right when lockdown happened.
So lockdown happens, email or something.
The lockdown happens. We were still working in the office, bro, because I was like a essential worker.
Right.
So like I work in the logistics industry. Yay. And yeah, they're classed as essential workers.
Yeah.
So we kept working, bro, and then.
Right.
Like even then, because that was when people could still work, but there was that 2 meter distance thingy, you know.
True. Yeah.
So I worked for a bit of it, and then made redundant, bro. And they called me in and they were like, "Oh, we have to downsize now because the whole logistics system globally is stuffed now."
Yeah. True.
Yeah. Everything just shut down, bro.
True.
Containers weren't moving. Everyone wasn't getting their stuff. Bro, the only people that made money at that time were like DHL, you know, the guys that do those small packages.
Yeah.
And they were
yeah,
killing
yeah.
it, bro. But for like the guys that deal with bigger shipments, they weren't moving anywhere for a bit, bro. So that was
Yeah.
crazy. And yeah, bro, I was like, dedicated like 5 years of my life to this. What the hell am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Yeah. But luckily in that, because my boy was at school at the time, and because he like they had that learning from home and all that stuff,
Yeah,
bro. So
yeah.
I just put everything into that, bro.
Yeah.
And it was crazy, bro. But like even being that isolated and stuff just wasn't good for my mental health there. So that's when
yeah.
everything, all these little problems that I'd band-aided started to come apart, bro. And
Yeah.
And being in lockdown as well, it wasn't as easy as just going to talk to the bros,
Yeah.
So that was a crazy time, bro. I think I only ever came out of it once I like spent some time and sat in those feelings, bro.
Yeah.
Because like I'm guessing you probably would have done the same thing with your trauma after what happened to you, bro.
Yeah.
You band-aid it first when you're young, Because you,
Yeah.
I think, you don't want to sit in it when you're young, bro. You just want to push on, and then you know that was once that happened to me, my whole motivation was like, okay, I'll just keep doing this, and then that won't be a thing anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then when it all comes apart, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing.
I used to make up, so me sitting in it, I used to make up scenarios in my head of like alternate like endings, or like, you know what I mean, like for like the story that I just shared, like me smashing him, or like, you know, or I'd continue on the story just to kind of make myself feel a bit better. I think those were low-key like little band-aids for how I was actually feeling as well, you know?
Yeah.
Because it gave me the sense of like, actually, when I think about that, like,
those alternate universes where you actually did do what you wanted to do. Sorry.
Surely some of you like do the same thing too, but like,
yeah, definitely.
You kind of just fantasize a little bit and like just think about like the what ifs, and like, you know, and sometimes, man, that was like fuel for me, like, that was fuel for me, man, for like, and I could pull it out anywhere, man, which was really dangerous at times, because let's say I had road rage before the incident. After the incident, it's like
it's just dialed all the way
I'm
up.
looking for anything to flick that switch and just let off on someone, because I've been fantasizing about it for so long, you know, because I never got to do that. And so I think a lot of those, like me sitting it in those band-aids, just created a bigger wound. Like it created infections. I never gave myself a chance to heal. Holy, just clicked the light bulb in my head, Band-aids, whānau.
That's it, bro. That
Band-aids.
Band-aid solution.
What's under the Band-aid? Sometimes you need to clean it first. Clean the wound. Get rid of all the muckiness that's in there. Get rid of all the dirt and the mud and whatever. And then you need to see, okay, is the bleeding hard out, or do I just need to let it air out a little bit? Do I need to like sit in this and just like spend time with myself, or, you know, spend time with God, or spend time with your loved one? Or is it like, this is really a lot right now?
Yeah.
And then you need to choose what kind of Band-aid you're putting over. Sometimes you might need stitches, and you might need to. Sometimes you need stitches. I can't think of anything smart right now.
Sometimes you need... Wait. Pause it. Sometimes you need stitches. Sometimes you need a Band-Aid. Sometimes you need that gauze to go over the top of it, because you're not just hurt, you're burning as well.
Yes. Sometimes you need waterproof Band-Aids because you're going to have to go outside and get a little bit, dirty out there.
Dirty.
Yeah, and still let this thing heal. And that could look like you facing your problems. I've got a quick solution to kind of ease the pain a little bit. I got a support system around me. I got my faith that's with me. I got God with me. I got these words of affirmations that's with me. I got my room that I can just quiet my brain, or I got my hobbies. I got the gym. I got sports. I got these little Band-Aids that can ease the pain in those times when it's really, really sore, to allow me to then think, okay, I need to heal now. Yeah, it's time to see what's really underneath this Band-Aid and let this thing heal properly. And then sometimes after it heals, you have these little scars,
Yep.
This analogy is sick, by the way. I hope he's loving this. This is like freaking...
You're welcome.
This is blowing my mind at the moment.
You're welcome.
This is how I think too, by the way. So I love...
This is just... Yeah.
Yeah. And